All right. Well, that's exciting. So other big news today. There's obviously the whining in the internet has already reached a fever pitch, but Games Workshop has announced a price increase. Now I think a lot of people are, um, like, and I know me particularly, like I'm used to Games Workshop price increases, and I've never really complained about them because, as far as I'm concerned, although like on a micro level, the hobby can seem very expensive. Like for instance, like when you're paying $30-40 for like a plastic kit, it is
Yeah.
very expensive, right? Like that's like just from a dollars and cents perspective. I've always found like it can be expensive. Um, well, for me personally, and this is just again my personal thing, is like, as I've gotten older, obviously like I've had more money, so the cost to me relative to like my income has never felt, it's never felt so cheap, to be honest. Well, not these days, I'm not even working, but when I was like it felt like a smaller, like when I was younger, it was expensive, because I would like save up my allowance to go buy like an $8 blister pack, right?
Yeah.
And that seemed like a lot of money. Now, like, I'll drop, I dropped 300-400 bucks last week and not even think about it. No, that's not for me bragging, but I guess my point being is like, my point is that expensive is relative to you, depending on A, what your budget is for hobby, and B, sometimes how old you are, which can tie into that. So like, if other people, and this is kind of where I guess my position on it is, look,
Yeah.
some people are going to find the hobby expensive and some people are
Yeah.
not, and that's going to entirely depend on their how much money they make or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
because you don't find it expensive doesn't invalidate that they feel like it's expensive, right? Like I yesterday, I spent $60 for dinner for myself, right?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people would look at that and say that's a lot of money for one person. And I didn't even have like fancy food. I had three drinks and like an appy and a starter, and it was like $60. Some people will
Yeah.
look at like, a $8 a $15 meal is expensive. So like,
Yeah.
are they wrong and I'm right? No, like it's completely dependent on your income. So I guess my point is
Yeah.
is like, first, like I guess I have a few points. First, don't, if someone says it feels like it's getting expensive, like
Mhm.
that's their perspective, and like you can't say that they're wrong. You can't say the hobby's not expensive. If they find it expensive based on their income level, then they find it expensive, and there's no amount of you saying like no, it's not expensive that's going to change that,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't think it's
Yeah.
expensive, that's your specific opinion, and that's great that you have make enough money and that it's not expensive. But like, don't try to invalidate like their perspective. Second,
Hmm.
and this is like a bigger point, um, Games Workshop is not a private company. Games Workshop is a publicly traded company. So what that means for those of you that are following at home, they have a fiduciary responsibility. Their CEO does, their CFO does, their executive board, their whatever. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as possible for their shareholders as they can, right? Now, that might not sound very noble, right? And obviously the guy that's writing your 40K rules, whether it's like, Mike Brandt or whoever else that's in the creative development side of Games Workshop, that's not their decision. It's not like the games designers are saying, the guys that really are passionate about the hobby are saying, "Hey guys, we want to raise the money on this hobby. We want to make more money." Those decisions are way above their pay grade, A, and B, it's not even really up to them to make, right? Because as I said, they have a
Yeah.
fiduciary responsibility to bring in as much money for their shareholders as they can. Now, a lot of people also, and this is kind of my hot take, so here we are. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
on Twitter and other places, and they're saying like, "Oh, they're gonna drive people out of the hobby," right? If you think, and this is like just straight up, if you think a company the size of Games Workshop goes into any sort of price adjustment, price increase, whatever, without first figuring out how many customers they're going to lose potentially per year,
Yeah.
how many and how much more money they're going to make as a result of the price increases, and what that difference is, and then you're ignorant, because any company that size, they have a 400 billion euro market cap or something, 4 billion euros. I don't even know what it is. It's a massive company from a financial standpoint. They have bean counters literally that go in and say, if we raise prices by 5%, we might lose 2% of our customers, but because of the price increase, we'll actually still gain 10% profit, right? For instance, I'm just making up some numbers.
Yeah.
They do those calculations every time they do these price increases, right? And so even if they do lose customers, they don't care, because at the end of the day, they're going to make more money. And so when that report comes out at the end of the month, look, and here's the thing, if I'm a business, any business, right? Yeah. Would you rather have one customer that sells $1 million worth of a product, or 1 million customers that buy $1 worth? That's the question.
Second.
Where are you going? David is gone. The answer is
sorry. Hey, hi.
So my question is, like, if you're a business, right, and I'll use one that's really easy for people to understand, because then they can really conceptualize it. You're a restaurant. Would you rather sell a million meals that cost $1 each, or one meal that costs $1 million each? What takes more work? What's more work for your team?
Basically, the 1 million.
The 1 million meals, right? What's more difficult to do? The 1 million meals. What's going to take more time, more energy, more staff? The 1 million meals. Games Workshop, actually, if you actually think about it, in retail, your best interest is to sell as few things as possible for as much money as possible. It simplifies your supply chain. It simplifies your costs. It simplifies, like, your inventory that you have to keep, shipping. It simplifies the number of staff you need. So in all aspects, it's actually beneficial in some regard for Games Workshop to actually sell less stuff, especially given the supply, and then just sell it for more money. Like, that's way better from, like, a dollars and cents perspective. Now, given that our game is a cooperative game, you obviously want other people in the game to play with you, right? Like, you can't just have one person buying all the GW stuff, because they wouldn't have anyone to play with, right? So there is like a critical point there, where it's like, if you sell to too few people, the game actually has a negative effect, right? Even if you're making more money, because over time what's going to happen is you're going to end up like War Machine or all these games that died. You're not going to have enough new people coming into the game. So, but finding that balance, you better believe there are tons and tons of people that are paid very good money, analysts, consultants, fucking like quants, that work at Games Workshop, or consultants for Games Workshop, that figure out all that shit before they raise the thing $1, right? My point is, all these people, look, I'm a consumer. I don't want Games Workshop to raise prices, and I hate it. But I also understand, as a business owner and someone that works in in business, or has lots of business dealings, I understand why they have to do it from a fiduciary standpoint, and B, why it's actually a smart thing for them to do. And third, and this is like the final thing, Warhammer as an IP is only getting bigger, right? We got all the people fucking slaving over Henry Cavill's dick. I just saw an interview with fucking Andy Serkis on the Warhammer community website today, right? We got Eisenhorn trilogy. We got Eisenhorn TV series coming out. More books, more games, more exposure. Multiple celebrities that I know are playing Warhammer on like getting into Warhammer, right? So from that perspective, Games Workshop, the pressure of growth right now into the hobby is much greater than the shrinkage that they're gonna experience, because they have this huge amount of like outward growth that's gonna be coming and is happening, right? But it's like a lot of that pressure, whether it's from celebrities or like more just public perception or public awareness of Warhammer, that's all we're just hitting, guys. Like, we're not even in the like the heyday of Warhammer. It's still very niche, right? LVO, the biggest finals game in the world, LVO, the most competitive 40K game, had like 4,000 viewers at like peak, I think, on the FLG channel. I'm watching Asmongold on Twitch right now. He's got 125,000 viewers playing fucking video games. People regularly getting like 50. There's people that do political commentary that literally get 40,000 viewers. So Games Workshop is so niche, and people think that it's popular and that it's going to shrink, but actually the room to grow far outweighs the growth that it's already seen. And so Games Workshop, I think, knows that, and so they're not worried about it, because they do have a massive amount of space for them to kind of grow into.
Yeah.
It's not like they're at their market cap and now they're bleeding their existing players dry and there's no more new players. Like that's in fact the opposite is true, right?
Yeah. No,
So
I hear you on
anyways,
that.
those are my thoughts on this whole price increase stuff.